You're thinking about moving to Portland and considering buying a newly built home. You want to be the first owner.
Yeah.
We're going to give you
10
things about what you need to know about the whole process. So stick around. Welcome to this week's edition of
The PDX Live. We are your hosts. I am Tara Payne.
and Tamara Stone.
So you guys, we wanted to talk to you about new construction homes. We're going to kind of do a little different.
Something different.
Yeah, a little different format. So
I'm going to pretend to be the buyer moving to Portland and interested in purchasing a new construction home. So I'm going to ask Terry a bunch of questions as if I were you.
Yeah.
And so you kind of know what questions to ask and some of what the answers are going to be.
it's always good to work with the realtor for these, but these will kind of be your roadmap on what to ask, the top tips, and all of that for new construction. So,
Not in any particular order.
yeah.
So stick around for all 10.
So Tam, oh my gosh, welcome to Portland.
Wow!
So happy you're here.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here. I
Want
love
to go
Portland.
get some donuts?
Are they gluten-free?
Sure. New Cascadia. That's a tip. So you want to buy a new construction home. What kind of
Yeah.
questions do you have for
Okay.
me?
So is there any sort of home warranty that comes with the purchase of a home?
With new construction, the most common type of warranty that the builder is going to offer is called a 210 warranty. For the very first year, it means the home will be free from material defects. So if there's like cracks in the wall or the windows are leaking or anything like that, their builder would come out and remedy those things. The second part of that is for year 2, there's going to be no system defects. So HVAC system, water heater, any of those kind of major things within the first 2 years, they'd go ahead and take care of that.
Okay.
The 10-year portion of that is going to cover the structural integrity of the home. So say the foundation is failing or the siding is failing or the roof or any of those main major things. So that's what's going to encompass in the 210. Again, it's really common for the warranty. That's the one that I've seen the most.
Are they required to provide?
So in Oregon, they are required to provide a warranty, though they do not have to do it for any specific amount of time. It could be for 1 year. I've seen those. It could be for the full 10 years. So that's why it's really important to know and ask those questions and not just assume this is the type of warranty that you're going to get. Because
Okay.
I've seen some terrible builders when bad things happen. So
Do you still need to get a home inspection when you buy a new build?
I would always say yes to that. With new home purchases, the inspector is going to do the same thing as if it's an older home and has already been lived in. So they're going to go up on the roof, they're going to go into the crawl space and check all of the systems. I've seen inspections for new construction with like 40 pages of things. So it's really important to get that third party person to come out. They're protecting your investment, and then we also get to negotiate with the builder or the seller to make those repairs.
You have to get a certain type of loan, correct, in order to purchase a new build, or how does that work when in terms of if you're not paying cash and you get into it, like you go to one of those places and it's like, here's the lot.
Yep.
And you have these spec homes that you're looking at and you're like, I want that one.
Yeah.
But you're starting from no even foundation poured.
Yep. So if you are the one who is acquiring the lot yourself, so it's a private lot, it's a one-off custom, you would at that point do a construction loan. You're going to get the lot financed, and then they have stipulations. Usually it's within 6 months that you need to actually start building. So that's if it's a one-off, you're buying the lot yourself. If it's in a development or still if it's a custom home, you can use conventional financing. It's going to be usually between 3 and 5% down. FHA would still work as well.
Can you lock in your rate? When can you lock in your rate?
So this is when it gets a little bit tricky. Most of the times, if the home the tax lot has not recorded with the county and it doesn't have a formal tax ID, it's like the house doesn't exist. There's no formal address yet. So most banks will not allow you to lock your rate in until that happens. We would find that out beforehand if you did want to make an offer on the house. The reason that this is so important is rates are super volatile. We know that they've gone up and come down a little bit. But if you have to wait and sort of just wait the market out and you have no idea when that's going to happen, it could really end up costing you a lot more money than you expected, and you could lose your earnest money.
Well, that's
Not good.
Not good. You always want to be able to keep your earnest money.
Yep.
What is a blue tape walkthrough, and at what point do you do that?
So all builders do not allow a blue tape walkthrough, but basically what it is after the inspection or during the inspection, sometimes it happens at the same time, maybe there can be some unfinished things in the house that you're noticing. Maybe there's a chipped paint or paint that hasn't been done all the way, or maybe the windows aren't quite correct, or maybe there's dings in the floor. So if you're purchasing a new house, typically you want it to be perfect.
Right. Yeah.
These are for all the little minor defects. These are like maybe a contractor, was in a hurry that day, so he did hit the tiles off a little bit, or it's crooked or something like that.
They didn't caulk something.
Yeah, whatever. So some of those things will be called out on inspection, and the other ones are just visual. So the last new construction I sold, there was probably 30 blue tape marks, and then we just sent pictures. The builder came in with his crew, and they had everything fixed prior to close.
So this is not within our 10 questions. I'm going to ask a bonus question here.
Okay.
So in terms of the blue tape, typically done on the inside of the house, I have seen a lot, because I'm a realtor too, where builders on the exterior don't caulk between and then paint over the caulk.
The siding.
Yeah, the siding. So is that something that you can call out
Yes.
from a builder? Because we tell people all the time, you want to make sure that that's caulked, right? Because you want to make sure there's no water penetration getting in between your siding and then the actual other parts of the house.
Yeah, so typically for that kind of stuff, I would recommend the home inspection again, because the inspector is really going to go through the home for 3 to 4 hours. He's going to go up on a ladder and look at all those kinds of things. So we can only see what we can see. We're not going to get on the roof. We're not going to do a lot of that. So the blue tape typically is for the interior. However, I've seen it on the outside. Maybe the doorbell is missing, or little things like that. But typically for the siding and all of that, the home inspector would call that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
good
really
question.
interesting, because I feel like a lot of I would tour a lot of different kinds of houses, whether they're really old or they've been recently remodeled, or brand new houses, or houses that are on the second owner. The first owners are selling, and it was built in like the 2000s or whatever. And you see that a lot. And I'm always like, and usually it's one developer in a whole neighborhood, and you're like, oh, that house and that house and that house and that house. And it's surprising to me that it didn't get called out. And
so some of the times that's going to happen because of the house is going to shrink. It's going to move with the temperature as it's kind of like settling in for the first year. So they expand and contract with the weather. So sometimes they were built correctly, but after the year, they didn't have the builder come out and just say, hey, do a check on the house. So that's another thing that I ask is, do you automatically do a check at the end of the year, or do my clients have to instigate that?
Okay.
Because that's probably what happened there.
Okay.
Or the inspector didn't catch it, or the builder didn't, whatever.
How involved can I be in the process of like materials,
color choices, all of that.
Flooring, backsplash, even to the fixtures that are being put in the faucets and things like that?
So with a one-off custom home, like we were talking about sort of at the beginning, if you purchase the lot and you find the builder and, design the home, maybe they already have plans or something, you're going to be able to be the most involved with that type of build.
Okay.
If it's a spec home, there's going to be different levels. Like say the house is going to be $600,000, and you get to choose maybe the flooring and the colors of the paint. And maybe for $610,000, you can choose the fixtures or the other things. So they almost have like an a la carte menu.
Okay.
Everything's going to cost a little bit more. So you want to make sure and ask those questions up front, because it's going to suck if you walk in and you hate the floor or the paint colors or something like that, and then you have to waste time and money and then have it redone. And a couple of years ago, I sold a property, and it was hardwood floors on the first 2 levels. On the 3rd level was carpet where the bedrooms were, and the clients didn't want carpet, so they paid the builder to remove the carpet and put in the hardwood floors. So typically wasn't an option, but they were like, we don't like carpet, so they just wasted all the carpet. Fine, personal preference. It was a $1 million house. But
at that point, was the house like already built?
It was built.
Okay.
It was done.
I was like, why didn't they just tell them during the process?
No.
Okay.
That was a totally done and built home. And,
okay.
So you can still make some corrections. It'll just be prepared to pay.
So you find a lot. It's a builder bought this whole piece of land, and they split all the lots, and you picked it. and you decide, okay, well, this is the lot, this is the home. They start the process. You get towards the end. Then what is it that you need before you can actually like close on the home? You know, it's for to your benefit, right? To do the blue tape, to have the inspection. You don't have to do either of those things. But what do you have to do in order to make it so you can finalize the loan and then move in?
So there's kind of two parts to that. The first thing is there's going to be an inspector from the county or the city that's going to come in. There's going to be all these permits on the home. So they need to come through and basically final all of the permits. They're going to make sure the electrical was done correctly. They're going to make sure the sewer was done correctly. Everything, there's a huge book of all of the current codes for building a home, and they just make sure and everything looks really good. Once that happens, so that's step one, they'll issue what's called a CO or certificate of occupancy, which says this home is habitable, ready to go. The lender typically is going to ask for a copy of that as well, and your home insurance will also ask for a copy of that. So unless you're cash, but even then you're going to want the certificate of occupancy.
That would be
sure it's like all good to go.
If you never had it and then you like bought the house, moved over, and then went to go sell.
Oh yeah.
What happens?
Yeah. I don't think. Yeah, you probably still need it at that point for
then you'd be like, I guess now we have to go get one. We've been living in it this whole time without certificate. How do I know that what questions I should ask the builder, and whether they are a reputable builder or not, and somebody that will be able to come to fruition? Because basically I'm in the holding pattern of like whatever time I find the house and when it's actually going to get its CO before I can actually move in. So what are some questions that I should be asking the builder or should be looking for when I'm looking at some of the spec houses to make sure that they're going to, to my specifications, that it's going to come out and it's all going to be good and we're going to be able to move forward?
I would say, reputation is a lot. There are some builders in Portland that have been around since the 80s. They've built hundreds of houses. And I won't name drop any names, but we definitely work with a lot of very high quality, reputable builders. So you want to kind of get to know them, their reputation. Go and Google them, Facebook them, do a little bit of sleuthing, and we can help you with that to see if they're actually a reputable company, number one, and see what other people are saying about them. Do they actually come through with a warranty? Is stuff going to be falling apart right away? So you want to look at reputation, how long they've actually been in the business. Is it a fly-by-night company who's just not even going to be there if something goes wrong? I've actually seen that before. And then how many homes they've built, and drive by some of them. Do they look good? So do some research. I kind of think about it like dating, before you bring somebody home and introduce them to mom and dad, like, is this person actually worthy of that? So new construction typically is a little more expensive, and so you want to make sure you're protecting your investment.
We look at new builds with clients, and it's surprising to see the craftsmanship and like attention to detail difference from one builder to the next.
Even in that part, like there's one builder in particular, if it's this type of home, when you go to resell it, that's actually going to garner you more money also, because you can say it was built by this company. So the name does kind of say a lot, so it's really important.
Do I need a realtor in order to purchase a new home?
Say you're a buyer and you're just kind of looking in, and you go to a model home and you talk with the builder's agent and you go tour around, and they're like, oh no, we can help you. Here's why I don't recommend that. They represent the seller, they represent the builder, so they're going to have their best interest in mind. And maybe they're not going to share with you all of this information because they don't really need to. They're like, oh, we can just, here you go. We're going to make this easy for you. It's going to be a lot easier.
We're not going to give you any reason to ask any questions.
Yeah, there could even be incentives or different things like that. But in my experience, if you have somebody who's on your side and representing you, if you work with myself or Tam or both of us, whatever, we're going to make sure that you have these kind of questions answered. We're going to help you protect your investment, and really we are working for you to make sure that it's a good, solid investment.
We never recommend that anybody uses one realtor for both sides. Just because, you know, we as your agent are also your fiduciary, and so the lines get kind of muddy and it's a gray area, I think, ethically. Who are you really representing? You know a lot, if not everything, about the seller, and then you know a lot, if not everything, about the buyer too. And so how do you keep both parties' best interests at heart throughout the entire transaction? I think that maybe some people can do it, but I think it can be really difficult, and it just seems like it's the best idea for everybody that you have somebody working on your behalf.
And typically what I've seen is, I mean, we can end up saving you some headache and money down the way just by, you know, representing you with the inspection and negotiating and all of those different kind of things. So this was really good. Comment down below if you have questions, other questions that we didn't get to for new construction, or if you have other things that you want us to look into. Like we always say in our videos, we are happy to go on video tour. If you're out of the state, we work with a ton of out-of-state buyers, so we can go and look at those new construction home for you and let you know about the builders and their reputation and all of that. Thanks for staying till the end.
We hope that you guys like us enough that you click that little bell button so that you're notified every time we drop a new video.
Yep. All right.
All right. Tara and Tam out.